I can't even begin to explain the level of satisfaction that I get from doing things on my own, from being a self-sufficient woman. The other night, I learned how to sharpen my knives using a whetstone in a knife skills class that I'm taking. It's hands down the most satisfying thing I've learned in that class so far. Oh yeah. Oh no. Much better. My obsession with self-sufficiency was learned in childhood. I developed it from watching and then later participating in all of my parents' various DIY projects. My parents didn't come from families with money, so they learned that if they wanted something and they couldn't afford it, they had to make it themselves. They were super young and their financial situation was not great to begin with. But then right when I was about to be born, my dad lost his job about 3 months before my due date. And then my mom was laid off right after. They were both able to find some means of income, but they were pretty poor for the first few years of my life. I can pretty much guarantee my mom sewed us these costumes. And I know for a fact that my dad fully built this truck from the ground up, and he did such a good job that they printed it on the cover of a magazine. After their finances started to change and my dad sold that fancy truck so he could have a down payment for the house, he still installed the sprinkler system all by himself. And then because we wanted a family boat, they bought this very old, very broken boat, and the two of them worked together to fix it up. My dad and his mechanical mind made it function again, and then my mom reupholstered the whole thing. Little Kristen and then little Adam grew up watching our parents figure out how to do absolutely everything all on their own. My mom made that bunny costume. My dad built us this playhouse from scratch before the internet existed, and it was his own design. And then he painted it to match our house. As we got older, our parents started involving us in all the DIY projects. I typically had an attitude about it. Teenager. None of my friends had to help install and tape drywall. I bet none of my friends had any idea what drywall even was. But the older I got, the more I began to appreciate accumulating these skills. For my high school senior project, I redid my bathroom. And I didn't just paint the walls and redo the decorations, I tiled the floor and the countertops too. I guarantee I was the only girl in my high school who had ever used a tile saw. I've continued throughout my life to build and repair things all on my own, and I've extended this self-sufficiency to many other areas in my life. And I get so much satisfaction from doing so. The way our society operates nowadays, where the majority of people simply pay others to do things for them, it's actually a pretty new concept when you look back through our known human history. People used to be doers and creators rather than simple consumers. Being able to pay others to meet all of our needs sounds really great at first, but I think it's actually stripping away two really important things from humanity: creativity and using ingenuity to solve problems. It's making our brains lazy and it's making us very dependent. I've talked a little bit about this before in relation to food production, and I'll link it up above. My brain was programmed in such a way that whenever I have a problem, my very first thought is, how can I solve this all on my own? And then I do everything that I can to try and solve it. To a fault sometimes. I can be a little bit too independent, but that's for another video. When we don't have any practice using our creativity and ingenuity, it feels pretty overwhelming when things change in life, and it makes adapting really difficult. Right now, as we're experiencing so many changes in our world, it makes me really grateful that I was trained as a very little girl, not only in how to fix and build things, but in how to problem solve and how to have the confidence to go out and try something, even though I may not know exactly how to do it. I've developed a lot of my own skills that way. I have a lot of ideas of how I want my future to look and how I want humanity's future to look. And it has absolutely nothing to do with all of those stupid dystopian books and movies that we see out there. I don't think humanity has to go in that direction. I believe that if we all start now exercising our creative and ingenuitous muscles, that when it comes time for us to make changes, we will be ready to do so. By the way, Maggie says hi.